towards the basket, misses one.
Hello once again, and welcome to another episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock, and today is our men's basketball season preview episode. And joining me in studio to do so is head coach Mark Hester. Coach, thanks for joining me today.
No problem.
Well, obviously, before we get started talking about the team this year, some congratulations in order on a great season last year. The team went all the way to the Fab Four down in Branson. Tell us a little bit about last season.
Oh, I mean, honestly, it's not something that we think about. Sometimes I think that maybe we have lost kind of that appreciation for what happened because, you know, we really haven't thought about it a whole lot. I think these guys are more concerned about the way they played in that last game. Our returners are, and myself included, that we didn't play as well as we could have in that game. And so that's kind of our focus is what can we do to get better. And if we are in that situation again, if we're fortunate enough to do that, you know, maybe the spotlight won't bother us as bad and we can at least play up to our potential. So, I mean, that's kind of it. The best thing about it, I guess, is that it's over. You know, we were able to do some great things, you know, with a lot of great guys, and, you know, but every year is different, and it's a new season, so we kind of let that go when we left Branson, and you know, we're focused on this coming season now.
Now, there were a couple of really big games throughout that tournament, you know, especially winning a couple of them in dramatic fashion, if that's what you would like to call it. But, you know, just walk us through a couple of those games.
I mean, we liked our first round matchup a lot. You know, we played a really good Tabor College team, but out of Kansas. But we felt like that was a good matchup for us, personnel-wise. And we came out and we played well. You know, we had guys that had obviously been there before, and they weren't scared of it at all at the moment, and just played well. And fortunately, we were able to kind of snowball on some positive energy and put some runs together, and ended up with a big win. But the second game, and we lost Jacoby in that game at the very end with a broken wrist. And he, you know, to his credit, he didn't say anything about it. He tried to play through it, and we noticed in warm-ups for the next game against Valley City that he couldn't even catch a ball because it was hurting him so bad, and we made him. He finally came clean about 2 minutes to go because we didn't have a trainer with us or anything. So he told us about 2 minutes to go that, you know, he couldn't do it, and you know, he went from player role to support role, and that was what was so special about that particular group of guys. That tournament was, you know, he hated that happened, and we all hated that for him, but he didn't pout about it. He didn't feel sorry for himself. He kept his leadership role. He did it from the bench. He cheered guys on, and then we actually put him in the game, in every game, because we needed him for his foul trouble and different things, and he did great. And then you had Nick Bollenbacher, who was a senior, he's played a lot of minutes in his career, you know, stepped in that starting role, had a huge game against Valley City, a game that was a rematch of a game we played out in Nebraska earlier in the season, and didn't play very well, and we were excited about it, so we played well in that game, and you know, got another double-digit win, and felt really good about ourselves going into that Elite Eight game. And thank goodness that Briarcliff beat Bethel, because we had played Bethel earlier in the year, and they kind of did things that were their strengths were our weaknesses, and so it wasn't the best matchup for us. But Briarcliff, man, they could really shoot it. They were really talented, and you know, we played a game, and we were right there, and then we got down, and the guys never sulked. They stayed focused on what we needed to do. They got better at what we needed to do, which is what we always ask them to do, and came out and we ended up. Lucas hit that shot at the end and won it, and so it was a big moment. And I think playing 3 games in 3 days, you don't really have time to think about what you're accomplishing at the time. It just happens so fast. You literally go from shoot around to game to post-game meal to scouting to film to sleep to pre-game meal next morning and shoot around and play again, and so it was we didn't really have time to think about anything until we got to the Final Four, and we had the day off on Sunday to have the Final Four banquet and whatnot. I think it, kind of creeped in our heads what we were doing. I think at that time, and it kind of changed our mentality a little bit for the worse. And I think that not having ever experienced that before, I hope that if we're fortunate enough to, like I said, to ever be back there again, we'll be accustomed to it, and it's going to be a little bit different, situation as far as performance goes during the game.
All right, we'll talk more about Jacoby and Lucas here in a few minutes, but talk about your schedule this year. Who are some of the more tough opponents on your schedule for this season?
They're all pretty good. We play, of course, we have Indiana Wesleyan, who won the national championship last year. We have our game with them we always play. We're playing a rematch of St. Francis again at Bankers Life. It's going to tip off about 11 o'clock again at night, which, it's a fun game to play in, but it's a little late. But And then Davenport. So we'll play all three of the teams that were in the Final Four last year again. Davenport here. Wesleyan there, and then St. Francis in neutral court. So that'll be a tough road to get to the conference schedule with some of the non-conference games that we have. We also have Shawnee State, the NAIA D1 team in the Mid-South, which is the best Mid-South, the best NAIA D1 conference in the country, and then. Let's see who else. I mean, we open up against South Bend. I mean, really, that's my biggest focus right now because they present a lot of problems to us, as well. They made it to the championship game of their conference tournament last year, so their program on the rise, and Coach Cooper's doing some great things up there. So it's, they're all tough, in my opinion.
Right. All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about your team. We'll start with the returning players. Tell us a little bit about Brad Hunt and what he's got to bring to the team this year.
I mean, Brad played a lot as a freshman, not a lot as a sophomore, and we're looking to him step back into that, playing a lot role again as a junior. I think he's worked really hard understanding his role. Brad's a great mid-range shooter. We hope that he can continue to do that. But his biggest thing is he's just got to rebound and defend at a higher level. And he's worked pretty hard. We've been doing we do CrossFit for our weight workouts down at Family Fitness Works. And, Kate Shamel and her son Jake have got us right. And I think it's helped Brad a lot with his strength and his balance, and look for him to rebound a little better, protect the rim a little better. And if he does those things, he'll be a good contributor for us this year.
All right, and how about Jacoby Claypool, who we talked about a little bit ago?
I mean, Jacoby's he's our engine that drives us. He does a phenomenal job leading. He just does what needs to be done. He's a great defensive player, and then does all those things that you can't really measure. I think his value goes unnoticed to a lot of people. Because the numbers may not be there, but what he brings in every other category is huge, and he's somebody that, again at the national tournament last year, if he doesn't use his voice to continue that leadership, I don't think we do as well, and he's going to continue to be big for us this year, and probably expand his role a little bit with scoring and attacking the basket, and do a lot more leading because we have 9 new guys. So.
Right. All right. We'll go ahead and move on and talk about a guy that I think impressed us all as a freshman last year, but Aaron Thomas.
Aaron might be the best defensive player in the country. He is just, and Aaron's a goofy, funny guy, but he's also a really mature leader at times. He says some great things to his teammates to be able to encourage them or to bring them back to center where they need to be, and that's really starting to come out now that we have a lot of new guys. But he just does such a phenomenal job rebounding. We've never had a rebounder like Aaron. He also protects the rim and can guard on the perimeter, and he can guard post guys, and he has a really high basketball IQ, and has an understanding of stuff. And I mean, Aaron's just a big piece of the puzzle for us. And if you notice, his teams always win pickup games in the off season practice segments and things like that. Aaron's teams always win, and that's a huge asset to have.
All right. And how about number 22, Kyle Keppinger?
Pip came in from Huntington last year and never quite, I think, felt comfortable until the very end of the season with being aggressive offensively. He's a great shooter, and we've encouraged him a lot to do that. I think he's become a better defender, but he's became a lot more aggressive. He's not as scared to shoot the ball and shoot it quickly, which we want him to do. He's doing a lot more of that. If Pip's biggest thing is he's got to talk more on both ends of the floor, and as he starts to talk more, I think his production level is going to go up. He's going to get plenty of opportunities this year. He's just got to be productive in those chances, and so I think that by talking he'll get it.
And how do you get somebody that's so quiet like that? I think maybe last season I heard him say 10 words the whole year. How do you get somebody that's that quiet, to step up and speak up?
If you could write a book on that, you'd probably be a rich guy.
Right.
We do a lot of encouraging him to talk. We put him in roles where he has to try to lead, and we, today I got on him pretty hard this morning in practice about not talking and not communicating, and those are, and I just kind of, me and him one-on-one off to the side, I told him that you're seniors, by the time you start talking, we need you to talk. If you don't talk, you can't play. And he'll talk, but sometimes he does. He's a farmer, so he's used to be out in the field by himself, so he doesn't talk that loud because nobody's there to hear him. So we've got to get him not only to talk more, but then increase the volume too. But he'll get there. I mean, Pip's a great person, and he really wants what's best for the team. So he's going to talk. At some point, he's going to have it figured out, and he's going to get us there.
All right, how about Lucas Huffman?
Luke is Luke. Super smart guy. He's one of those quirky smart guys, that coming off of a really good sophomore year, and I think he's got a handle being the focal point of a lot of people, a lot of teams this year. Not that he wasn't last year, but I think even more so now. I think he'll handle it fine. He's a guy who doesn't claim to be, but he's a pretty tough guy, and so he'll be able to handle the beating and the banging and things like that. I think he'll respond well. With Lucas, it's always just what's between his ears. Sometimes the really, really smart people get inside their own heads too much and their own worst enemy, especially with confidence issues. And so with Luke, we've got to just keep his confidence up. And the way he's been playing lately, I think you see a much more confident person that understands his role. Is he's got to score. He's got to look to be aggressive, because when he is, it changes the dynamic of us offensively. So I think that Luke's going to do some good things this year.
All right, the last returnee, Nate Niehoff.
Nate's probably the most improved of all the returners. He worked again. He went with me. I go to CrossFit. Even when the guys are gone, and I go, and Nate always went with me, and we were going 3 to 5 times a week this summer, and he totally changed his body composition to go with. He's become an improved shooter, better finisher. He's gotten a lot quicker, a lot more athletic. I give a lot of that credit to Nate and going to CrossFit and making that happen. And it's changed everything that we do. We look for Nate to have a huge breakout year, because a lot of what we do offensively, we want to go through Nate. And if he can just defend well and rebound well, I think Nate's got a chance to be special.
All right. Well, there you have it from Coach Hester talking about the returning players on the roster this season. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about the new players on the roster. Stick around. More Inside IUE Sports comes up next.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
What if a home phone could also be a smartphone? And what if that home phone could save you money on your home and wireless bill at the same time? With Xfinity Voice, you get amazing technology like readable voicemail on your smartphone, caller ID on your TV, and even text messaging, all for a low price. Start saving with unlimited nationwide talk and text, and switch to Xfinity Voice for just $19.99 a month for 12 months. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
Almost done.
Now you can pay your bill, manage your appointments, and check your connection status. Anytime, anywhere.
Oh, so you're protesting? Okay.
Introducing Xfinity My Account, available on any device.
And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. Caleb Gillock along with men's basketball head coach Mark Hester for our men's basketball season preview. We've just finished talking about the returning players on the roster. Now it's time to talk about the newcomers on the team. And Coach, let's go ahead and start with Kendall Rollins out of Midland College.
You know, we brought Kendall in to, he was a late addition. We were fortunate to be able to pick him up, and Kendall's a stretch. He's about 6'6", 6'7". He's a stretch 4 guy, 3-4-ish, can shoot the ball really well, really long, really athletic, and we hope that is going to allow us to do some different things defensively, especially with our personnel combinations and where it allows Lucas to defend, primarily because Kendall can really guard 3 or 4, and Lucas needs to guard a 4. So I think that's going to help us. His contributions are going to help us immensely once he gets up to speed on everything and catches on.
All right. You also picked up a junior out of St. Francis, Charles Peterson.
Charles has been a great addition culture-wise. We're big on culture and doing things the right way. Charles is a great person that's going to come in. He's given us a lot of energy, a lot of effort, stepped up the level of competition, and we didn't know what we were going to get with him when he came to me and asked if he could come work out, and we took him, and we're glad we did. He's going to be a nice, solid addition for us this year.
In what ways has he stepped up the competition?
His effort level. I mean, it's more a physical thing. He's still learning, so he's not talking as much as we will want him to, but he's starting to get there. But just the physical competing, everything he does, he competes at. He wants to win, and that's a great quality to have. And so he's gonna, he's a kid that's just worked his way, and he's gonna find some minutes here and there.
All right. You also got a freshman out of Bloomington South, Hunter Lloyd.
Hunter's been a good surprise. Comes from one of the best programs in the state, Bloomington South, with Coach J.R. Holmes, who's forgot more about basketball than I'll ever know. And he extremely athletic, comes from a basketball family. Dad's was a Division I assistant for years on the women's side, now is a women's head coach at the NAIA level, and he played professionally. So Hunter's got a good pedigree with the athleticism and stuff. He understands how to play, he understands the team concepts. He's a great defensive player, so we look for some big things out of Hunter. Don't know when, but it's going to come at some point. All
right, and how about Jordan Furlow?
Jordan's probably the most talented player we've ever had in our program. He's just coming from systems unlike ours, and so there's going to be a learning curve. And cultures unlike ours. We have an extremely positive culture around our team, and we work really hard to do that. And so things are different, and it takes a while to learn, and it's a process. I think Jordan's a good kid, good person, and he wants to do really well. So that's a great step forward.
Right.
And so he's working to make the changes he needs to, because when he gets it, he's a great player, and I hope we get to see that this year.
All right, freshman out of Warren Central, Bishop Smith.
Bishop's a little guy, but he's a lot of people know him because he can really shoot the ball. He's got a lot of learning to do, but he's learning on the fly because he's going to get some minutes, because he just does a lot of things really well. He plays hard. Again, it's that learning curve when they come from high school to college and learning how we do things and getting used to it. And he had the whole summer here, and he got a taste of it, but it wasn't like it is during the season.
Right.
They don't understand.
Right.
It's always different when it starts for real, and so he's still got some learning to do, but he's going to have to do it. He's going to have to do it in a lot of fire, because he's going to get out there and get some minutes, and we're really happy with where he is right now, but we've still got a ways to go.
All right, how about Jalen McKay?
Well, Jalen is a guy that not a lot of people know about, because he hurt his knee last summer, and only played a few games as a senior because of surgery, and he tried to come back on a little too early at the end of the season, and didn't get out there as much as some of the other guys as far as name wise. But Jalen's been a pleasant surprise. He's another little guy, but he can fly. I mean, he's probably 5'10", can dunk about any which way you want. You can throw lobs to him. I mean, he can really get up. But Jalen's biggest asset is he's probably one of the best on-ball defenders that we've ever had. And at 5'10", he's probably got a 6'5", 6'6" wingspan. And to package that with his athleticism, it's really a good combination.
Right.
Where we're going to play him exactly, we still don't know yet. One or two, because he can do a lot of different things. But Jalen's going to help us. He's going to contribute, and he's going to be a good player.
All right. How about Brady Smith?
Brady's going to redshirt this year. He tore his ACL and had surgery, so he's rehabbing it this year. But when he comes back, he can really shoot the ball, and we're going to be happy with him for a couple of years.
All right. Two other guys you picked up this year, Josh Ward and Ray Ramsey. Tell us a little about them.
Josh has got to get through the eligibility center. Josh's best basketball is well ahead of him. Really athletic, plays hard, but he's got a lot of work to do. And I think he'll put that work in. Ray won't be eligible till Christmas. He's a transfer from Mighty Bloomington. The dream was to play college basketball, and he wants to play and be on a team. And he's a great kid that brings a lot of energy and just a great teammate. And so both those guys will contribute in their own ways. Just not quite sure how on the court yet.
Right. All right. Your thoughts on this group that you've recruited in this year overall?
I mean, talent-wise, it's probably our most talented team, top to bottom. However, that means absolutely nothing.
Right.
It's all about culture. It's all about how they're able to acclimate to the way we do things, to what their mindset is once they face adversity. It's something we deal with on a daily basis, getting them to communicate at a high level, not just at an above average level, but at a championship level, getting them to have a championship mindset that when there are setbacks or are adversities, that it's over. You can't do anything about that. Focus on the next play. Focus on the one that you're doing right now, because it's the most important thing that you're ever going to do is the thing you're doing right now. And I think that's a process, and we keep talking to them about the process, and it's steps. And so I don't know where we're going to be when the season starts. I don't know where we're going to be in December. I don't know where we're going to be in January. I hope that we're able to be where we need to be, come February, and we're able to make a nice run. But I think that you can throw talent out the window because our conference is much improved. It's a whole lot better than it's ever been, and with our non-conference schedule, it's one of the tougher ones in the country, and everybody that we play has got the same exact talent level that we do. So it's going to be about how does our culture carry us and make us want to do what we need to do, and that's going to be the test. And again, we're working on it daily. But I tell them, we can talk about it, we bring it to your attention, we hold you accountable for it. But the fact that it's a mental thing, it's something that's internal, we can't change that for you. You have to make that change yourself, and you have to really want it. And I think that's our biggest challenge. If we do that, we'll be okay.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time today. Looking forward to another great season.
Thanks, Caleb.
All right. Well, there you have it from head coach Mark Hester talking about his men's basketball team this year. We'll be right back with more Inside IUE Sports. Wolf Center is up next.
Life can sometimes be chaotic. And with small children, it can be difficult to get to the doctor.
Hi, Mrs. Towns. How are you doing?
I have a sick little boy right here. I think he might have an ear infection.
With Read Health Now virtual visits, you don't even need to leave your home.
I'll send in a prescription for him.
Quick, easy, convenient.
I don't want to take the kids out today.
Oh, hey, Doc.
Read Health, right beside you, right now.
And welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock, and it's time for Wolf Center. That's where we take a look back at last week's IU East results and ahead to next week's schedule. You can download the free IU East Athletics app to keep up with all of the latest IU East Athletics news. It's available at the iTunes App Store or at Google Play. So let's go ahead and take a look back at last week's IU East results, beginning with October 3rd. The IU East volleyball team lost a tough Dig Pink match to Marion with a final score of 3-0. Then on October 4th, it was a 7-2 win for the men's tennis team at Thomas More. Keaton Akers, he won at number 1 singles and at number 1 doubles for the Red Wolves. Then on October 5th, a 7-2 loss for the men's tennis team against Wittenberg. This was the first match on the newly resurfaced Kyle Tom courts at Glen Miller Park. Then on October 7th and 8th, the 7th place finish at the Swan Lake Intercollegiate Meet for the women's golf team. Bree Nowak, she had a 36-hole program record for the IU East women's golf team. Then on October 7th and 8th at the River States Conference Fall Individual Classic, Bree Ayers won her singles flight in tennis. Then on October 8th, a 3-0 loss for the women's volleyball team against IU Southeast. This was a River States Conference match of the week. Also on October 8th, the women's volleyball team picked up a 3-0 sweep over Brescia. IU East tied for second in the RSC East Division at this point. Then on October 10th and 11th, a 7th place finish for the men's golf team at the RSC Fall Preview. Lance Hackman and Cole Schofield tied for 17th. Then on October 14th, a 28th place finish at the Wilmington Classic for the women's cross-country team. 6 IU East athletics ran program bests for the Red Wolves. Also on October 14th, a 26th place finish at the Wilmington Classic for the men's cross-country team. 2 of the IU East athletes ran personal bests in this race as well. Then on October 15th, a 3-2 loss for the women's volleyball team against WVU Tech, a team that they beat 3-0 earlier this year. WVU Tech won the last 3 points in the 5th set after it was tied at 12. Also on October 15th, a 3-0 loss for the volleyball team against the University of Rio Grande. IU East now sits 4th in the River States Conference East Division. Now let's go ahead and take a look ahead at next week's schedule. On October 22nd at 11 a.m., cross-country teams will be at the Asbury University Invitational in Wilmore, Kentucky. This is the final regular season meet for IU East. Then on October 22nd at noon, the women's tennis team will play at Kentucky Wesleyan. This is in Owensboro, Kentucky, and it's the final match of the fall season for IU East. Then on October 22nd at noon, the women's volleyball team will take on Asbury University at Midway University. IU East seeks their first win against the Eagles since the 2012 season. Then on October 22nd at 4 p.m., the volleyball team in action again, this time at Midway. IU East is 12-0 all-time against the Eagles since joining the NAIA. And then finally on October 25th at 7 p.m., the IU East women's volleyball team will host Rio Grande for their throwback match. This will be a first serve at 7 p.m. at Lingle Court. Well, that concludes this week's episode of Inside IU East Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.